My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Hey folks, you know, there's a concept out there that I talk about a lot in my novels, and I believe in it deeply. And I think I've talked about it before here on my YouTube channel. I'm sure I have. And the concept is called Nisus Rius Adversitas in the Latin, which means the necessary adversity. But, you know, what does that really mean? The necessary adversity. You've probably seen folks who are wealthy and they have children, and for some reason those children just never become productive members of society. They were given everything, every opportunity. They never went without food or shelter, or they never faced the adversity of having to overcome maybe some kind of abuse, or a person who was harming them physically or psychologically. And because of that lack of adversity, they don't have the requisite skills in order to deal with society. Now, of course, that being said, there are times when adversity is too great and it causes the individual serious psychological damage. It's a real fine line and a balance that's really based on the individual. And I find oftentimes that the adversity faced by one person in their life would not be able to have been handled by another person. And then I see people collapse under adversity that I'm just like, well, that's nothing, right? Oh, you lost a job? Whoop-de-doo. And then I've known some people who are so hooked on adversity in the extreme. I had a friend of mine, also a military buddy of mine, and he was one of these guys. I won't mention the branch of service, but, you know, he's the tip of the spear kind of guy. He was in there facing fire and explosions and, you know, all that kind of stuff on a regular basis. And He was just a hard charger. You know what I mean? Just a tough human being. And then he retired from the military. And he died just 3 or 4 months later. Maybe it was 6 months, but it wasn't long. And it was just a sudden thing. His heart just quit on him. It was like the adversity itself is what sustained him. He needed it. It had become such a part of him. And so you kind of see the different ends of the spectrum. A lot of people, if they went to war, they would fall apart. And this person died because he wasn't there anymore. Very, very interesting. And so Seneca, one of the great philosophers of all time, said, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Yes. You need those difficulties in life to make you who you are. In fact, of course, you are the sum of your experiences, and you are stronger if you have faced difficulties. I know that my strength is based on the adversity that I have had in my life. And I probably have talked about that before too. I mean, being a virtual slave as a child to someone who, we called him the Nazi. And we called him the Nazi because he would say things like, if only Hitler had won the war, we could be speaking the father tongue or mother tongue. I don't know. One of the two. So literally, a Nazi and I and my siblings were Jews in his belief, because my own male biological progenitor is part Native American. It's a small part. But because of that, there was a belief, maybe it's still out there, that Native Americans were part of the lost tribes of Israel and yada, 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 right? And of course, it's interesting to find out later that in many ways they're connected to the haplor groups that that Jewish people are part of as well. Not that there's any direct lineage, but that's neither here nor there. And I think of overcoming that adversity, which was so extreme that later on, when other things would happen or I would have confrontations with other people, uh, it was not a very, how should I put it, not a very difficult thing to overcome. Anything I faced after that was minute in comparison. And so, great. But that wasn't the case for my older brother, who was so damaged by those experiences that it led him, I believe, to become an alcoholic. He was a much more sensitive person than me. An artist, a musician, singer, songwriter. I've talked about him before. And because we all deal with adversity, difficulties associated with it differently, it eventually led to his demise. And it of course it saddens me, but it really makes me wonder as well just how much of who we are on a daily basis is a reflection of those adversities that we've either overcome or maybe we haven't. I mean, because when you think about it, those things stay with us our entire lives. And it's how we deal with it individually on a continual and continuous basis that determines who we are and where we end up and how we live. It's why I seek solace, probably, part of it, partially. I seek solace in the woods because I like to listen to the birds chirping. Excuse me. A little bit of my Mountain Dew coming back to haunt me there. And just nature in general. Again, I've talked about it. It helps to center me so that I can deal with the things that I've got to deal with in life. We all do. We all make methodologies in order to accomplish that. And the cathartic nature for me of making these videos is as much about me dealing with myself as it is about sharing these things with you. So, thank you for being here and listening, because your sharing with this is something that I find gratifying, especially when you like and subscribe and then share this out with other people, in my deep desire and hope that the things that I'm talking about can have a positive impact for others. Anyway, this is getting long. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll chat with you later. Bye.